Today on Listen Up, option adoption. With more than 30,000 children in Canada awaiting families, we're looking for hope and homes. That's next. Welcome to Listen Up, a Christian perspective on news that takes you deeper. I'm Lorna Dueck. Family, and it's a word that can provoke a wide range of emotions. But for children who have no family, the overwhelming feeling the word creates is almost always a longing to belong to someone. It's an issue we've explored on past episodes, but one that merits revisiting. So today we're reaching into our story vault. We'll hear about the difference finding a family made in the life of a girl who was adopted at 19. And we'll also visit with a couple who had 3 biological children, adopted 9, fostered hundreds more. But first, the numbers of children eligible for adoption are climbing. According to the most recent estimates, more than 30,000 Canadian children are waiting for families they can call their own. Like Alyssa and Adam, 2 young people who shared their experiences of what it's like to yearn for a family you'll never have.
I think that everybody wants that normal family life where, you always have somewhere you can go back to. You always have a home.
I was in a group home for the last period of being in care, and I did move out at 17 and a half, basically, because there is a shortage of foster homes in the province, all over, I'm sure. And so I did move out at 17 and a half, and I got my own apartment and everything, but because I kind of went from this structured environment to being on my own, I did drop out of high school in my grade 12 year. And I did go get to be quite depressed, actually. But I realized, because school had always been important to me, a stability. So when that semester was done, I did start back up. But that was a very hard time for me. And that kind of depression and yearning for a family never really went away. It was always there.
To help us understand the current realities of adoption in Canada, I'm joined by Pat Convery, Executive Director of the Adoption Council of Ontario. Pat, thank you for being here. And 30,700 children waiting for adoption in Canada are glad you're here too. Tell us who they are.
These are the children who came into the child welfare system in their province because there were problems in their families. They were experiencing abuse, neglect, there was trauma in the family. For whatever reason, the family wasn't able to care for the children. But these are the children that the society wasn't able to get back home. So these are the children that the birth families weren't able to resolve the problems or issues, and now the government is their legal guardian.
But there is a number of websites, but one of my favorites is to log into Canada's waitingkids.ca.
So when you go to that website, and many provinces as well have similar websites, you're going to learn about adoption, about who the kids are, so the waiting children.
Yeah, you'll see them,
you'll
read their stories.
And you can hear information about those children and what their needs are for families, as well as a lot of information about the complexities of navigating the adoption system.
How long is that process?
Well, in every province, it can vary from province to province, but in every province you have to have an adoption home study done, and you probably have to have some kind of education training and a whole bunch of other things like police clearances, medicals, those kinds of things. That process can take about 3 to 6 months. So that's not really the long part. The challenges are in the front end in some provinces, getting into the system, so getting connected with an agency that can do that work for you, and then once you're adopt ready, as we call it, getting connected with the child that's going to be the right child for your family.
Okay, speak to us about the frustration waiting parents have in going through all that red tape. What would you advise them?
Diligence, persistence, stubbornness in times, and really getting educated. So taking the time to learn about the system, find the connections, because the challenges really are in the beginning, getting into the system again. Where do I start? Many families say, I'm interested in adoption, but get frustrated along the way. They just can't even figure out where to start. And then once they're adopt ready, it's knowing how to get connected to the children.
There is some myths about this, that there are people who just don't want to do this. Tell us a little bit about the myth busting that you work at.
Well, a lot of the myths are around people, first of all, feeling that they wouldn't be appropriate or they wouldn't be eligible. People, as you mentioned, don't even know that there are as many children who need adoptive homes. Sometimes those children aren't even being considered within their agencies for adoption. Maybe even some workers might consider them not adoptable. As well, families themselves aren't sure they would qualify. They might think they're too old. I'm a single person, would I qualify? I don't make enough money to adopt. Maybe I've had problems in my family in the past or problems with the law as a young person, and those things would make me not eligible for adoption. And all of those are myths, because what we're looking for is families who are prepared to make the commitment and provide children with long-time, lifetime, safe and secure homes.
And is there any financial support for this?
That's the other challenge. So in many provinces, there is no financial support in terms of getting into the system. Now, if you're working with a public agency, there's no cost for having your home study done or your adoption education, but public resources are limited. Some provinces have a private system. Once you adopt the child from foster care, some of the challenges are they don't leave those special needs behind in foster care, and there aren't as many resources available for families after they've adopted.
And there's no federal department caring for this as an umbrella organization. There's you guys as a charity. You are it, the umbrella organization for Canada's children. Do you hear happy stories of these endings?
Absolutely. Every day we hear stories that help us to keep working with the frustrations and keep advocating for the children and for the families.
All right, so your advice then for someone wondering, well, 30,000 children, maybe I should step up the plate, we should step up to the plate, would be what?
So first of all, in your province, because it's a provincial system, find out in your province how you get into the system. What are the rules, what are the regulations, where do you go to get yourself adopt ready? Certainly educate yourself a lot about who the children are, what are the special needs, because that's part of the connection. Are you a person who's able to take on a couple of children, a sibling group? Do you need a younger children? Would you be able to take medical needs or emotional needs, and what are they?
All right, Pat, at Listen Up TV, we want to connect our viewers to these needs of these 30,000 kids waiting. And if you have frustrations with that connection, you don't like the links you're getting to on the website, write to us at listenup@listenuptv.com, because as in the past, we do have a dedicated person just to handle each serious inquiry on this need. And let's keep uncovering the obstacles to getting these children a home. And Pat Convery, the Executive Director of the Adoption Council of Ontario, thank you very much for being with us. And when we return, parents who raised a dozen kids, including adopted ones, and then fostered hundreds more. Their secret to sanity next.
Because there are other children in the home, they just seem to settle in beautifully.